Hi there guys, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is our life in France with Annabelle and Mark.
Yes.
So welcome back to the channel, thank you for being with us. We thought we'd do a video on the processes and the experience and why we moved to France.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a series of videos, I think, 'cause it's going to cover all the different aspects about moving to France and living in France and all the different areas, from moving here in the first place, why we wanted to move here, visas, all these different little things that you need to think of when you plan to move into France.
Yeah, and there's a lot, actually, there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
There's probably more than you realise, and until you start doing it, you don't quite comprehend actually all the different steps and the different areas that you need to cover. Everyone has that great idea of let's move and let's do it, but what does it entail?
Yes, and we have done it a few times, so we have done it a few times. We've come from the UK, and I'm French. I'm British and French. So I'm British, born in the UK, and have a French mother. And so I'm very lucky. I was born with a dual nationality. And you're British, aren't you?
British, and I was born in Hong Kong, actually, which
yes,
you will find out over the videos that made getting visas a bit trickier than probably for the norm because of requirements for certifications. But
yeah, definitely.
We've certainly got some experience, I think, when it comes to moving to France, both in and out of the EU, actually, because we've done it a couple of times before the UK left the EU, and then since Brexit, we've done it as well. So, yeah.
And I've been brought up with 1 foot here and 1 foot there, coming over here on holidays. And then when I was younger, I was 11 when I first came over to France, and I went to school here, and I had to learn French from scratch because I wasn't taught French from birth. So English is my mother tongue, but I've certainly learned French, and I'm still learning French. French is a lovely language, it's beautiful, but it's not easy. And even I won't say how many years later.
So say five of it.
But it's more than 20, and I'm still learning French, and so I know it's different. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Far from it. It's not impossible. And the whole move to France, there are a lot of hurdles and obstacles, and a lot of requirements depending on your individual situation, because everybody's situation is different, and our situation isn't going to be exactly like your situation. It might be like some of your situations, but we can only speak from our experience. Absolutely. And we're happy to share what we know, what we've learnt along the way, and how we actually got here and eventually permanently settled here in our house here in rural France. And we'll be honest with you. We'll tell you how it's been and how it's going, and and what we think. And that's what we want to do with this video, isn't it, really?
It is. So shall we begin with why? Why do we move to France? Why do we choose France?
That's a good question, actually, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, from my point of view, France was never really top of the list of, if we weren't together, probably wouldn't have been top of the list of countries from my point of view, from a language point of view, nothing else. But I love France. I mean, it's a great country to be in. And it opened up many opportunities and many doors for our kids, having them be able to be dual language as much as anything, I think, is a real asset.
That's a good point, because I do think that, families coming over, they worry about their children and putting them into schooling, which is a tricky one, because if you're 11 like I was, going on 12, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard because you've already established your own language and you've only just learned English properly, and you're still learning it. And but you've got through that baby stage where you can just learn anything as well, I think. So it makes it a bit harder.
Yeah.
But it's possible,
Yeah,
and I think you should just go for it and put your children. Just don't stop them from, going into like a French school, into the French schooling system, because it's going to be the best thing. It's going to put them into the deep end, and it's going to really help them in the long run. And it will be hard at first, but in the long run, with the support from the school and from anyone else and the family and anyone else, children can do really well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think children are far more adaptable than a lot of us give them credit for. I mean, our kids have adapted amazingly well.
Well,
us being adults probably aren't quite as adaptable, I would have said. We're not quite as flexible. We're kind of stuck in our ways, and picking up language when you're a bit older is a lot harder. I'd certainly think that myself. Because,
but then we've been speaking to our children since birth. I mean, I have been speaking to them since they're born with the French that I know, that I've learned. And the first thing that I wanted to do as a mother was to transfer that knowledge onto them. That was something I really wanted for them, whether we moved here or not, actually.
Yeah.
But then we had our first son in France. We were already living in France.
That was the first time we moved to France. We were lucky to have the opportunity through family to be able to live in the south of France.
Through your side, actually.
Yeah. Through my side, to live in France we lived there for 2 years?
In the south of France. Yeah, we lived 20 minutes from Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, it was lovely. We were really nice. I mean, I loved it down there. It's
Yeah.
ridiculously hot, but I loved it down there.
So our first son's born in Saint-Tropez. And and then we lived there for a couple of years. Then we moved to the Alps.
Yeah, well, we moved back to the UK actually before that,
We did.
And then we moved back and lived in the Alps for
Yes, we
a
did.
couple of years. We got married in the Alps.
We did. We got married in the
Yeah,
Alps.
we did.
Yes.
And
So we've done that as well.
Yeah.
We've moved back to the UK, come back, got married,
yeah,
and stayed for another few years.
yeah,
And then we went back to the UK,
we did,
didn't we?
we did, and
And
then we're back here now.
and then we wanted to come back because when we went back after the Alps, it was really hard because we'd actually set up all our dossiers, we'd got everything set in place, all our life was actually, administratively speaking, everything had been set up, and it took at least a year to get to that point. So it took a long time to get all that sorted out, and then we had to go back to the UK
Needs must at that time
because you had your accident.
Yeah, I had a minor accident and work, but it was and for work as well.
So and that was a really hard time because you had your accident, and all I wanted was for you to be well and to be comfortable and to make life as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And you were having to travel a lot,
Yeah.
so we had to cut that down.
Yeah, it was tough choices, but
But we knew we wanted to come back.
we did. There was, we always knew we were going to come back to France, and we did, and things work out the way they work out. And this time round, it's worked out really, really well. We've come with a plan. We knew what we wanted. We knew what the UK couldn't give us, I think. And thankfully, one of the biggest things that France has given us in a very short period of time of us being here is a home we can call our own, which I don't think the UK, with the market that was there, the ability to get mortgages, the cost of housing in the UK, just wasn't going to give us.
I think, I love parts of the UK. I love the UK. I do. I can see all the plus points, the pros and cons for both really well, especially having lived here and then gone back and then come back and gone back.
Definitely.
And when I go back to the UK, I do love the UK, and I know there's a lot of things going on at the moment, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have a soft spot for the UK, and I will always love it.
I mean, I love the UK.
Yes.
The grass is always greener. You know, if you're not there, you want to be here. If you're not here, you want to be there.
And there's things going on everywhere. There's things going on in France. You know, there's things going on everywhere.
Completely.
So I think it's just about what kind of lifestyle you want. What do you want available in your life? And where do you feel the happiest? And that's what it came down to for us. And for me, I mean, I really love being in France because it makes me feel just more energized and alive, and there's a buzz in the air, and it just, and I can see myself making a home here and my family being happier, just because we've got everything on the doorstep as well. We can just go off and go camping a lot easier. We can go off and do things. There's lots of new things to discover and visit.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're quite lucky in the fact we're not far from the coast. Like you say, we can travel down to the south of France very easily, to the Alps, etc. But I mean, from my point of view, I think it's because we've always lived in rented properties, and that's great. You know, don't get me wrong; it was always handy and always useful. But if I'm going to be practical, you're putting money into other people's pockets and you're paying off their mortgages. And I was kind of getting a bit sick of actually not having something of our own, which we could actually do something exactly what we wanted. And the UK was, as much as it pains me to say, we were never going to have that opportunity there because we couldn't get the quantity of deposit, even just to get a mortgage, let alone.
But there's some people that say that being tied to a mortgage is actually the worst thing to do, and renting gives you freedom.
Yeah, I agree.
And they prefer to rent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that. I don't disagree with that. I mean, we rented for.
We've always rented.
Forever.
In fact, we've never been able to buy. So for us, it was something we really wanted to settle. We were ready to just put our roots down because we'd done a lot of all that travelling around and having all that freedom and not being tied down anywhere. But we were ready to actually make a home our own and make a real base for our family. And I think in this day and age, if you have an opportunity to do that, I think that's the right way to go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had a great time with all the places we've been to and moved to, but like you say, we wanted our own house, but we know what we wanted. We wanted a garden for the kids to run around, and I wanted a garden so I could go out and plant vegetables and grow vegetables and all those sort of things. And we wanted space, and it'd be very hard, I think. It would have been very hard in the UK to have found what we wanted or what we've got.
I don't think we would have found what we have now.
No.
And I don't think we would have ever been able to actually get to the point where we'd saved enough for a deposit.
No, something would always come along. That's the way it is.
That's what we were looking at. We were thinking by the time we get to that point,
we'd have retired.
We would have retired. And our kids would have been grown up, and it's now. We had to just decide what are we going to do, what's going to give us the best options.
Yeah,
and this was the best option.
It was, and French life is a lot more relaxed. We've mentioned it before in other videos. If you want to have something done, you've got to sometimes have to do it yourself because a French week is. A French couple is a couple of months in France. It's not just if they say they'll be there next week. You don't always expect them to fully be there next week. Sometimes they will, but it takes a little bit longer. And it's just I think it's the European way. Everyone's more relaxed, and it will happen when it happens. That's kind of how it is.
It's laisser aller.
Yeah, exactly.
Laisser aller, laisser faire.
And it's a good way to be. It is a lot less stressful. And if you when you work in France, you always have a lunch, and it's expected. An hour and a half lunch. When I worked in the UK, very rare did I take a lunch. I still don't really do now.
I used to eat at my desk.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
Yeah, you did still do the same hours, but you.
If you managed to get up to go to the loo, you felt like
You're taking advantage.
Yeah, taking advantage of the situation.
But no, things are different in France, and I love France for that. It's a lot more relaxed. Even though I work for a global company, and we are, I'm so used to working in the way I used to work when I was in the UK. It's fine. It's enjoyable. I don't regret it at all. Being able to just enjoy the garden when I get a chance is amazing, because I never really had that. We used to have a garden, but it was a postage stamp size thing. It wasn't a garden, I would say. Giving our kids a better future, I think, is probably something I would say was top of our list.
Yes.
And giving us stability, knowing that what we have is ours. The benefit, I would say, is having the mortgage in France, unlike in the UK. Your mortgage in the UK are 4 to 6 years, if you're lucky. Fixed rate, if you're lucky. We got a fixed rate at less than 2% for 20 years. Fixed rate for 20 years, that's
unheard of.
Unheard of. Certainly unheard of in the UK. And
and you can't beat that.
You can't. The exchange rates have changed, but it's still less than the UK now by about 2%.
And we've got a good family-sized home.
Absolutely.
It's ticked all the requirements, the boxes that we had, and more.
Yeah.
So we had to probably compromise slightly on the location, because
a little bit.
We didn't know this village, but now it wouldn't have been a worry if we knew now what we knew then. If we knew then what we know now, we'll get there. But you know what I mean?
Agreed.
But we were a little bit concerned about the actual village because of how far away it was, maybe from the schools.
Yeah.
And I remember that.
Yeah. We don't live in a big town. We don't live in a big city. And we could have done. Would have paid more for what we've got. I think, by obvious reasons. But we've never been town kind of people anyway, I suppose.
Well, we've always been in a village in the UK,
but close,
not
close
far from Cambridge.
Yeah, or when we lived in the south.
It was 40 minutes from London, 40 minutes from Cambridge, 40 minutes from any major town.
Close to everywhere. And when we lived in Devon, we were 20 minutes, half an hour from Exeter. So we've always lived close to big cities, and we're the same here. Really, we're not far from 2 or 3 of the biggest regional town cities. So.
And Paris is about under 2 hours or something. About a 2 hour.
Yeah, it's train. 2 hours. It's 2 hours. Probably to Paris, but that's Paris. We can go to any of the big major cities around here within 45 minutes.
So if we want Paris, we can be in Paris.
Just get on the train. We're there.
Get on the train. Yeah, it's okay. And I like it like that. I like knowing it's there.
Yeah.
We haven't been there yet.
We haven't been there yet.
Since we've been here, we haven't needed to go.
No, but we know it's there. It's not gone anywhere, so we know it's there.
We're going to do it though.
We are. We're going to take.
We're going to do it this
there.
year, I think.
Definitely.
We'll do that.
So that's kind of the reasons why I think we've decided to move here. There was a lot of planning that went on as well.
Also, because I'm a dual national, I will just say France has always been another home for me.
Yes.
For me personally, it's been the back garden where I go and play and have fun as a child, and it's where I have lots of good memories, growing up, and I really am attached to France. The people are lovely, but I really love France as a country. I love what the country offers. All the beautiful landscapes and its diversity of just things that you can do and places to go. And obviously the people are lovely. They're different wherever, they're different wherever you go. In each region, they're a bit different. Yeah. But it's something that was always close to my heart, that I wanted to eventually one day settle in France with my family, and I think that's always been there. And then I dragged you here.
Well, not kicking, but it was, I'm always happy to try new things and give it a go. And I don't regret it at all.
Well, you were thinking, when I met you, you were thinking of leaving England. You were actually going, you said you were going.
I was in the process of going to Australia. Yeah. Because
so I was like, are you?
Yeah, because I've got an Australian nationality, so that's my citizenship. So that's if you want to go to Australia, that kind of helps. No visas involved, but unfortunately Brexit's meant I needed visas in France, which is a different story, and we'll get onto that at some point soon. But you were thinking of leaving the UK and doing something else. I was.
So you were hungry for a change.
Yeah, well, being brought up outside of the UK as well, all my younger years, and my dad being a pilot, so travelling was always been in my blood, I suppose, in some respects. So I've never been scared to give new ideas and new countries a go. So here we are, and actually, I think I love France. France is a great place. Absolutely, don't regret it at all.
You're learning the language. I think that's probably been the trickiest bit.
Yes, the language is a problem for me. Being not as young as my kids, my brain
a
doesn't.
Problem because now you understand a lot more. You can hold a conversation.
Yeah, surprisingly so. Just about. I can understand a lot. Speaking it is still an issue, and that being able to construct conversation and sentences without sounding ridiculous. But that's true. But at the same time, I'm not scared to make a fool of myself.
No, that's really good. You're not shy.
No, I don't.
Because some people are really aware and their confidence is not very high, so they don't dare speak, they don't dare put themselves out there in the situations where they're communicating and having to speak.
You can't be though.
No, you have to. You have to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions. You just have to get used to them and to try to, and they will improve. They will get better.
You've just got to listen and be prepared to be corrected. And if you're making an effort, I think it's the same no matter where you go. If you make an effort, then people will understand and they will try and help you.
You have to want to do it though.
Yeah, don't
because if you don't want to do it,
absolutely,
you won't.
No.
That's basically how it works.
Don't turn up thinking that you can speak in your native language when you're in a different country, no matter where you go in the world. That's you've got to at least be able to speak some of the native language, no matter where you go.
That's something we're going to talk about because. We don't want to make this video too long, but they are tightening up on the language requirements for when you do your applications for a visa. So that's really an introduction to a few videos that we're going to be doing on our experience in France, but also the planning side of it and the processing side of it. So we want to go into a little bit more in depth and just on and touch on like those areas of what the processes were.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're going to start with you as well, aren't we, Mark?
We are.
Like your experience.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to be going through, obviously, as you mentioned, the planning and the processes, but then we're going to go through the visa side of things because that's something I had to do. We'll also go through renting properties, buying properties, and probably some more about the day-to-day life and living and what you need to do for
everyday
healthcare and everything like that. So there's going to be a few videos, but for the why we came here, I think that about covers everything. So
well, for today, I think for this video, the next video will follow, and I think it will be more on the visa side, the application side for the visa. So for non-EU citizens, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
So we will see you in the next video. We hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and we will see you in the next video.